In this video, we're gonna use a couple nice and useful functions within the lookup and reference library here under function library. One is called index and the other one is called XMATCH. And for the third part of this video, we're gonna see how can we combine both index and XMATCH into a single function. Now, if you look at this table in this spreadsheet, we can see that it's a simple table with 3 columns. It's listing some rental names, location for each rental, as well as the days rented last year. And by simply observing this table, we can tell that this table was sorted in an ascending order. So if you just look at, for example, the first one, Chalet Soleil, for example, is ranked number 1 because this rental or this location was rented the most last year. Rank 2 is Lakeview 3, rank 3 is Treetop Cabin, and etc. Right now, if I don't want to, for example, I'm not going to rely on human observations to come up with those numbers or those ranks. I want to go ahead and take advantage of a function called XMatch within Excel. And XMatch has a couple arguments that we're going to learn about in just a second here. And the return value for XMatch is always a number. So I want to know, for example, when I type a rental name in here, what is the rank for this one by simply passing values in here. Let's see how can we work with XMatch. So I'm going to select a cell where I want the XMatch to return or to use for the value returned. Then from the function library, lookup and reference, go ahead and pick the XMatch function. As soon as you do this, the function arguments will show up. The first argument here is you want to type or select the cell or the value with data to be located and matched as the lookup argument for the XMatch. In this case, I want to tell it, I want to know the location for this rental name looking into, or I'm sorry, the rank for this rental name looking into this list or this array of list. I click OK. I know that Chalet Soleil is ranked number 1. If I change Chalet Soleil, for example, to, let's say, to Lazy Days, and I click Enter, the value here will change to number 7. Okay, so XMatch is a function, it returns a single value. We see number 7 by simply, I'm telling it, here's the value I want to look up or to be matched or located by simply passing these values in column A. Good. Now, for the second part, what if I need to know the location for Lazy Days? I can't use XMatch in this case because I need to know it's not a number. I'm not returning a number. I'm actually returning some text. So the location for Lazy Days. We can take advantage of another function called index. Click on the cell. Again, from the function library, okay, I click on the lookup and reference, and then I choose a function called index. There's a couple options here. Pick the first one because I'm going to use these arguments. Here's OK. Now, it's asking for an array reference. I know I'll be looking into the location column, so I'm going to pass the location in this case. Okay. And for the row number, I want to know the location for rank number 7. Make sure you pick on the right cell or the right field in here and pick the rank and then click OK. So now we know that Lazy Days is located at Lake Ozark. Double check. Here we go. Good. Now, what if I need to know the number of days rented for the Lazy Days rental name? One thing I want to point out here is the function index by itself is rarely used. It's usually embedded or included within an XMatch function. That's what I'm going to do in this cell. So this cell, I want to know what is the number of days rented or occupied for this rental name. Let's see how can we embed both index and XMATCH in the same function. Click on the cell, always start with index, that as my parent function. Here's index. Start with this one. I'm going to always pick the first option. In this case, for the array, I'm going to go ahead and pass in the full table, starting from cell A2 all the way down to cell C25. Okay, so that's my full table. And for the row num, in this case, and it's asking for a number as a return value, I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of embedding in XMatch in this case. Now, XMatch, you can get that from the name box. You click on this pick list. Okay, I did not add this. It's auto added because I'm using an index. So I'm going to go ahead and pick XMatch. As soon as you hit XMatch, the functions arguments dialog box will show up again. Now, here you're going to type the cell or the value or the reference with data to be located and matched as my argument or my lookup argument to the XMatch. In this case, I want to go ahead and pass the location, which would be this cell. Okay. Of course, we know the location is always coming from these array of values. Okay. And this time I'm gonna go ahead and take advantage of the match mode. Okay, if you type 0 in here, just a single 0, you basically telling it that I want the exact match. Okay, so that's my first. So index is taking 3 arguments now. The first one was my whole table. The second argument is gonna come back with a single value. In this case, you see it's number 7 because that's returning the rank or the location for the lazy days. Now, I'm going to go ahead and move my cursor and pick or click on index. Okay. For the column num, I'm going to pick the column num in here and also add a second argument for the XMatch. Pick XMatch in this case. Okay. Here, you're going to pass the lookup value or the cell reference with data to be located and matched as my lookup argument for the XMatch again. In this case, because I'm looking for the days last year, and it's for the column, I'm going to pick C1. That's coming from these lookup array in here, going from A1 to C1, doing the exact match as again, and then I'm going to click OK. Number of days for lazy days is 240. If you check the table again, lazy days has a 240 days rented. Thank you so much for watching.